Welcome to the Dork Forest. Jackie and her pals will never bore us. Shameless confessions
about our obsession
will make us laugh and smile. So let's explore the Dork Forest and dork out for a while.
Happy New Year! Hi, I'm Jackie Cation. You're listening to the Dork Forest. It is available on all of the websites, and including iTunes and Stitcher and YouTube. And if you go to dorkforest.com or jackiecation.com, you'll find links to all of it. And then I have another podcast with Lori Kilmartin just about stand-up comedy. But this is the Dork Forest, and it's January 2020, so Happy New Year, and feel free to start donating again. That's right. Donations went off last year, and I don't blame you, but think of me. And PayPal will let you do it monthly if you want, but I understand if you don't want, because monthly is its own commitment. But the people who do it monthly, I said do. I totally appreciate that. But there is also going to be new merch. I'm phasing out one of the Dork Forest t-shirts. I think it's the black one. It might be the green one. The green one's almost completely out of stock, so I think it might be the Dork Forest one itself. But feel free to try and order stuff so that I can get those two new shirts on the website, because right now the merch page is a bit crowded, shall we say. By the way, my website is done by Vilmos. You know that. The song that was just sang was composed by Mike Rickberg. He'll sing his version of the Mexican hat dance at the end of the program, and Patrick Brady is going to fix this audio and has been doing it for these many years, and I genuinely appreciate that about him so much. The new shirts are going to be a shirt with a bunch of my dad's sayings and a drawing of his face on that Jenny Fine did. And Jenny Fine, of course, was the artist who did the Meat Shield t-shirt, and she also did the art for the Horcrux album and DVD. You can get all of my old merch still at JackieCation.com, and the new merch, feel free to email me, Jackie@JackieCation.com, and we'll figure it out, is what I'm saying. I'm going to record a new album in 2020, but I don't know where or when. Feel free to come and watch me work on the new hour. At JackieCation.com has all of my tour dates, and at JackieCation on Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. There's also a Dork Forest Ranger page that you can get into. Donations, PayPal, Venmo, do whatever you need to do. But I'm very appreciative of everybody's support over the last 13 years. Let's get into some dorkdoms, shall we? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Not quite yet.
Not quite
soon.
yet.
But
soon to be.
Soon.
I'm Jackie Cation.
And I'm Andy Ashcraft.
And this is a spoiler episode of Star Wars. The Rise of Skywalker. Am I correct?
Yes, you're absolutely correct. Where do we start? We just saw it. So here's the
midnight.
Background. Here's the background. I saw it last week when it opened, but Jackie had not seen it yet.
Right.
So I made Jackie watch the first two movies of this most recent trilogy in the last couple of days, so that she would be prepared.
Before you went, you talked about how you were going to see the first two.
I did, but I also watched them myself.
You watched them yourself, and so I tried to watch them on the plane, and I saw the first one in its entirety, which would be the seventh one.
Right.
7, 8, and 9.
We're only talking about the final trilogy here.
The final trilogy, which was... What was the first one called? The Last Jedi was the last one.
Right.
This was The Rise of Skywalker.
Force Awakens.
And The Force Awakens. Okay, so in the last 36 hours, we have both, again, seen the first two, and then you have seen, for the second time, The Rise of Skywalker.
That's correct.
And I have this to say, space opera done right.
Done right. Absolutely.
Shocking no one, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
I'm glad, because I also thoroughly enjoyed it. Both viewings of it. So,
right.
After the first viewing of it, I was like, I need to see this again before I can be critical.
Oh, right.
And there's not a lot to be critical about. It's kind of a good movie. It's kind of there's nothing missing from this movie. There's nothing, I think, extraneous from this movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with this movie.
Let's say, first of all, we both thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Here we are, post Rise of Skywalker, midnight, Friday after the 27th of December. And
I think, all right, so I will tell you this.
right. We're going to talk about all the things, by the way.
Talk about this is super spoilery thing, and I'm gonna jump right into it with
Let's
the
do it.
spoilers. So, the trailers had Emperor Palpatine's laugh at the end,
Right.
and everybody went bananas.
Right.
Like, oh my God, they're bringing back Palpatine. Blah 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 blah. Turns out, they started the movie with that same idea, which I thought was super clever.
Which was, that's how it
there,
opened.
That there had been some sort of broadcast with Emperor Palpatine. Now everybody was freaking out.
Right.
That's in the crawl. That's in the opening crawl, which is exactly what happened in real life. When I thought that was awesome. I thought that was super cool.
In the crawl of Star Wars, the first line is "Back from the dead!" ! Holy smokes! This movie is made for children and the children inside of us. And if you didn't like it, your child has been beaten to death. But it's fine. I mean, the thing is, with all of these movies, whether they're Marvel or Star Wars or any action movie, there's always errors, right? There's things that I wish they could have done better or whatever.
There's always things that are in our own headcanon that we sort of wish that they had done.
Right. So we open up with the Palpatine might be back. The only way to do this is we find about this mythical Sith planet.
Right.
Where all the Sith ghosts are waiting for the next Sith ghost.
It turns out the Sith have a secret planet.
There are so many habitable planets in this galaxy, by the way.
Yeah.
In a galaxy far, far away, a long time ago.
That's right.
That's where the habitable zone. So many habitable planets.
Yeah. We don't even think about the.
Right, they can blow them up.
The science of this is
not. It is very much. There's so much emotion.
It's a lot of emotion.
And watching all three of them. That's in a row.
And you were like, oh my gosh, this is this is written for and by junior high students.
Oh my God,
and
it was so
heightened emotions of everything. Everybody's heightened emotions.
Everybody is so alive. They're a walking nerve. There's so many abandoned children and dead parents and people not getting what they want and then getting what they want and thinking, this wasn't what I wanted. And so, too funny.
But it's universal. It's just universal, right?
But much like A New Hope, I have to say this. Because it's Star Wars, I feel like it's somewhat like in High School Musical. In the first movie of High School Musical, no one kissed, even in the whole movie, and it was a romance. Mm-hmm. And in A New Hope, and then Empire, and then Jedi, we see people paired off a little bit, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
There was Han Solo and Leia, clearly,
right.
Obviously. That's
at the end.
At the very end.
Right.
And then we see it. Now, in this movie, in all three of these movies, I was like, who's hooking up here? Did you think that at all?
Well, I mean, there's been a lot of talk about that sort of stuff. I mean, people have been shipping these characters. That's writing about their headcanon relationships.
Right.
What is happening?
What is happening with the audio? Why is yours super...
It's my collar.
Is it your collar?
I'll just tilt my head this way, and then it won't happen anymore.
All right. I can do some sort of editing. Okay, go. So you know, they in this trilogy, there's been a lot of shipping.
Yeah, there's been a lot of shipping, and then there's clearly a bond between Rey and Finn. Mm-hmm.
There's a bond between Rey and Finn.
There's a bond between Rey and Finn, which is sort of pseudo, but not quite romantic. And then there's a nice kiss between Rose and Finn at the end of Last Jedi.
Right.
And then
there's that sort of bickery romance novel kind of business between Poe and Rey.
Right, which doesn't make any sense in this movie.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense almost in any storyline ever, but in this movie particularly.
And that carries over. There's a little bit of like the weird sort of jealousy things happening between Finn and Poe. when
When one of them likes
Finn wants to has something to say to Rey, and then Poe wants to know what it is, but Finn won't tell him, and
right.
Who cares? I don't care anything about that.
And we never do find out.
We never do find out.
That's the first spoiler, by the way.
It turns out it's not important at all.
It's not important at all.
It was never important.
Finn might have wanted to tell her he really liked her. We don't know. We don't know.
And he kind of did. He kind of got to say that in The Force Awakens. There's a great scene when they're at Maz's bar.
Yeah.
And he's about to leave, and she's trying to convince him not to leave, and he's trying to convince her to come with him. And he gets to tell her that
she should come with him.
Yeah, but more importantly, he gets to tell her what's on it, and what he's feeling about her, which is I'm trying to remember the exact words now, but it was basically like he ran from the stormtroopers and ran into her.
Right.
And she's super important to him.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's it exactly. And then I found you or something like that.
And then I found you. Mm-hmm. And he didn't want to let that go.
I'll tell you, the Finn arc on this trilogy was fantastic. Mm-hmm. By the end of, I think it's the end of Jedi, the one that is not this one, Skywalker.
Yep.
He stops running.
Yeah.
It is literally him having a conscience, him using up all of his courage to get away from them.
Right.
And then going, oh, I'm a guy that runs away from things. And then he tries to run away and is not allowed. And then he's forced to face some things. And then he's like, well, now I'm running away again. And then he's forced to face some things. And then it's time to run away again. And he goes, oh, no, there's no more running.
Right.
And then he turns around and he faces everything.
Right. And he actually has that line, like when
is it Rose?
Captain Phasma.
Oh, yeah.
Calls him a scum.
Oh, right.
And he turns and says, that's rebel scum. That's his commitment.
Yeah.
To the cause now. He's committed to the cause now.
Right. Now he's in the cause.
Right.
And so this one, he becomes, and there's the whole arc with Poe too, where there's that great line in Last Jedi where Leia says to Poe, we don't need heroes, we need leaders.
Right.
And she's clearly turning to him to be a leader.
Right.
And she's tried very different ways in letting him be a leader and trusting him, in giving him responsibility.
And he kind of rises to it at the end of Jedi. At the Last Jedi, at the end of Last Jedi, when they're on the salt planet, and they're fighting the walkers.
Okay.
And
right, and he says we're going this way, and they all look at her. And she goes, yeah, we're following.
Right. But he had also just talked Finn down from going and trying to help Luke Skywalker.
Right.
Like he basically just reversed. Like at the beginning of that movie, he would have been like, no, let's go gung ho, blaze out.
Let's go shoot something.
And now he's like, no, wait a minute, we need to
reevaluate.
There's something. He's doing this for a reason. Let's figure out what that is. And
so another great arc. Yeah.
But that arc sort of completes, I feel, in Last Jedi.
Right.
And then we get to see him in that role as leader now.
Right. And sort of him failure in this type of thing. And that scene at the end of Last Jedi, and we're talking a lot about Last Jedi, but it's because I've just seen all three of them. So that scene where Yoda comes back to Luke Skywalker in Last Jedi and says, that's some of the greatest things you teach is failure.
Right.
And don't,
failure is the greatest teacher.
That's it. You failing is the way it goes, which is why, the arc of Rilo Ken on this thing, right? Kylo Ren. There you go. Hi, how's the dyslexia? Because it's Ben.
Right.
And it was so good to see Han Solo again.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That was amazing.
Super cool.
It was really cool to see Yoda in the last one and to see Han Solo in this one.
Yeah. And by the way, spoiler alert, he is not a Force ghost in this one.
No.
Although he serves kind of the same function as the Force ghosts do.
Entirely the same function as the Force ghost. Well, okay, so, I mean, we get... I forget where I'm at with this thing. So the first part of the movie, we get... there's a lot of fighting. But it's It's they have this connection, Kylo Ren and Rey.
Yeah. Right.
And I think that connection for all three movies, for most of the three movies until the big reveal, I think they're first cousins.
Oh, right.
I think they're first cousins forever. I don't think that they're siblings.
Right.
Some people I think thought I think in the very beginning I thought they might have been siblings.
Yeah.
But then I thought they were first cousins, and I was like, what are they doing, first cousins? They're doing that weird Star Wars thing where they make siblings kiss, because first cousins should also not kiss. It leads to hip dysplasia.
In dogs.
In dogs, but also in
It leads
people.
to webbed fingers.
Exactly. So, but it's so there's the, but then they join again, and they're on different planets, and so
They have that, and it's pretty cool that their connection is so strong. And we see this beginning in Last Jedi, and then they totally run with it in this movie, which is their connection is so strong they can actually have these conversations with one another, fight one another. They can have basically a lightsaber battle remotely.
Right. And he can take her puka shells.
And he can take her puka shells, and she can drop his helmet at his feet, and all this other stuff all this great stuff can happen remotely.
It happens remotely, and Snoke said that he was the one doing it.
Right.
But clearly he was not the one doing it.
Right.
And so in this one, they're going to look for the planet, the Sith planet, so that she can face Palpatine, because she is Emperor Palpatine's granddaughter.
Right.
We find
That's
that
the
out.
big spoiler right there.
The big spoiler is that she is Emperor Palpatine's daughter and granddaughter, and
through a son that he that rejected him.
Right. So, and they went to hide on Jakku.
Right.
So we get to meet another droid. We get to meet the snow cone droid.
An even smaller droid. So we R2 was the
cuter.
small, half-sized droid, and then BB-8 was the quarter-sized droid, and now we have the eighth-sized droid in DO.
Who speaks English.
Who speaks English? Thank God.
Thank God. And it's not more
Short,
just sort of
mice and men short English speaking.
just like no, don't touch me, and he's been hurt, and they have to wipe C-3PO's memory,
which is honestly one of the coolest moments in the film.
Yeah.
So it's also the creepiest moment in the film, because they decide to do it, and then C-3PO sort of catches on. And then agrees to it. But they'd already decided to do it.
Right. This is why we will be, the singularity will not be pleasant, because they will kill us meatbags for making decisions about their sentience.
That's right.
Yes, and
that is absolutely correct. They did not give, C-3PO did not have that much agency
at all. And they could have done it this way. You can't tell us where the coordinates are. You could probably enter them into the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. Besides the weird logic of, I'm sorry, I can read it, but I can't translate it.
I can't translate it.
I can't even write it down on a piece of paper.
Right. It's very much Lord of the Rings, where nobody speaks the language of Mordor in the Council of Elrond. When Gandalf actually speaks the language of Mordor in the Council of Elrond, they're, what's his face, the Galadriel's husband, Elrond, is like, dude, no one's. I haven't heard that in thousands of years. Thanks for nothing. And it felt like that, right?
Right. It's also the sort of like this. The language itself is evil.
Right.
And honestly, the creepiest moment in the film is C-3PO eyes turning red and speaking
that the coordinates. I thought he was going to become evil.
I thought he was too.
Right, because he had the Sith.
Right,
he was going to,
and because we also have seen the evil C-3PO in the Captain Africa comics, which is awesome. But
Triple Zero. Yeah. That would have added another layer. But this was a space opera, so everything has to work out.
Right.
Every hole has to have a square peg in it, and it has to be a square hole.
That's right.
And so there was a lot of rage. So what people were mad. I didn't read any of the spoiler stuff. Have you read any of the spoiler stuff? Because you saw it a week ago.
Because I honestly don't give a shit what other people think.
Interesting. You just wanted to talk to me about it.
I just wanted to talk to you about it.
I liked it. I had heard that I thought Rose was going to be killed because there was some outrage. And it was just that her part was reduced so greatly.
Yeah.
I'm sure that actress is also full of rage.
Right.
But it does open it up for her. I mean, the team is still together. Everybody lives except for well, Kylo doesn't.
Kylo and, of course...
so Luke, Leia, Han... We think Chewie's dead at one point.
Right.
And Chewie is not dead.
Right. Spoiler alert again.
Right. Well, we are happy. I am happy that they didn't feel it necessary to kill Billy D. Williams and Chewie.
Right.
And
yeah. In fact, they sort of, at the end there, I thought they kind of set up a Billy D. Williams Old Man Lando.
Oh, that'd be so great, Old Man Lando.
Old Man Lando. Let's see the movie with him taking, what's her name?
Like a Logan,
Hannah,
like an old Wolverine.
Trying to find her home.
Her family.
Her family
history.
That'd be awesome. So they run into this her that we're talking about is a woman that they find who was also a stormtrooper with a bunch of people who were all stormtroopers, and they were all...
And they all laid down their weapons at the same time and deserted.
Yeah, they're all deserters from the
and then they joined together.
Order.
And so, Finn is psyched when he's like, what, there's more?
Yeah.
Because, of course, in situations like this, they never tell you about, you never hear about the other deserters.
Right. And they also explained where all these stormtroopers are coming from.
Which are their children.
They're all kidnapped children.
Right.
They've kidnapped children and then trained them to be...
But The Force Awakens alludes to that.
Yeah, but only alludes to it.
Well, it says that when Hux is
General Hux.
General Hux is when he talks about because Kylo Ren in the first movie, The Force Awakens, says that we should go back to a Clone War, and he goes, my soldiers are trained from birth. And they don't malfunction and all these things.
Right.
And so that is the illusion that we get.
Right. But we don't get any sense that they are kidnapped children.
Right.
Only that they are trained from childhood.
Right. But I assumed that they had been kidnapped.
Oh, I didn't. I assumed that they'd been bred.
Oh, that they had been like clones.
Yeah.
But just bred and interesting. Okay. Yeah, and it turns out, of course, that Hux is the spy, and he's the spy only because he's petty.
Right. Because he's fed the hell up with Kylo Ren.
Yeah. Who has less temper tantrums as he goes. He does grow up.
He grows up a little bit.
Little bit.
He melts down a little bit,
And when he makes his red lightning helmet, he makes his red lightning helmet, and when he meets Palpatine, and because he's come to kill Palpatine,
right?
And Palpatine's like,
right, because Palpatine is a threat to him. That's set up in the opening crawl as well, so that's not much of a spoiler to say.
Well, hopefully everyone who's listening to this has seen the movie.
Right.
Or wants
care.
to see the movie with these worms in their ear.
True. All right. Fair enough. I'll stop. I'll
stop saying that it's a spoiler because it's going to be in the title. Because I can't lead people down this road.
No.
Rangers need to know. I'm talking, by the way. It's me, Jackie Cation, talking with Andy Ashcraft. We're in our own home, in front of a Christmas tree, talking about The Rise of Skywalker, which we just saw.
And I will say this about the title. That's a dumb title.
Right. I think The Force Awakens is a dumb title.
But at least there was somebody awakening to the Force in that movie.
Right. But at the very end of the movie.
Only at the very end, and it's honestly just a nod.
To the title?
Yeah.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what did you think about her burying those lightsabers outside the moisture farm on Tatooine?
Oh, I thought that was actually kind of clever.
Yeah. I thought it's great too. I hope they don't take one of those planet killers and just blow the hell out of Tatooine.
Well, I think they blew up all the planet killers.
Right, but once once you've introduced a Death Star into the plot, clearly,
Right.
you need to.
I loved that you laughed at the same things that I laughed at on my first viewing of the.
Oh, did you? And I clapped. I also clapped.
You clapped and you laughed at all the.
What did I clap and laugh at?
Well, specifically the horse riding cavalry.
It so reminded me of the Polish fighting the Nazis in World War II, when all the stormtrooper babies who had run away, Hannah at their lead, were on tusked horses because it's Star Wars world, so they got to make every animal look weird, and so they take the tusked animals onto the troop landing carrier to attack the dreadnought in the sky.
Right.
And
now, granted, they were initially going to land that on the ground.
Right. And they were going to be ground troops.
They were going to be ground troops on horseback.
Makes more sense.
Right. In a laser fight.
In a laser fight. They had
Don't
brought...
bring a horse to a laser fight.
But they also could not jam their land speeders because they were not on land speeders.
Who knew that you could just let's press the jam land speeder button?
Well, as they say, if you could you have done that the whole time? Only when it was funny.
Only when it was funny.
Roger Rabbit, everybody.
Jam the land speeders.
Jam the land speeders. It's so they could Kylo Ren and Rey continue to meet.
Right.
There's a lot of. I thought at one point Finn knew who her parents were, and I was like, how would he? He was a baby being turned into a stormtrooper.
Right.
So
he wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know. There was so many deaths. So many deaths in these three movies.
Oh, yeah.
It felt like, and the stormtroopers didn't feel as sort of automaton, because now we know that there's people behind those
right.
the armor.
Yep.
It would be
so
like
every time they'd shoot a stormtrooper, you sort of felt it?
Yeah, I felt it a little bit. Certainly more than in A New Hope in 4, 5, and 6.
Oh yeah. The stormtroopers and particularly in 5.
Right,
Empire Strikes Back. The stormtroopers are
expendable
and dumb as posts.
And can't shoot a
terrible
blaster.
Shots and they're just awful.
They're just cannon fodder. They're red shirts to be offed. And now, and there was so much. That's why I think they had to have Ben disappear. Is because there was no correcting how much damage he had done. I mean, you could always go. I mean, that was the message, right? There were many messages.
But honestly, that's exactly what happened to Vader.
Right, he disappeared as well.
Right, he.
But there, like when she kisses him, I was like, "Are they going to have little Jedi babies? What's going to happen here?" And then he disappeared. I was like, "That's probably for the best." It's because they're already. When they show up in front of Palpatine, and Palpatine, I thought he was going to become young. His hands did.
He did, kind of.
He did a little bit, but he was still super goony looking.
Then he no longer needed to be all attached to the scaffolding.
Right, he didn't need to be held up by the scaffolding. He could just walk
around. Right.
He could walk around like a guy, and like it was like a dose of cocoon.
Very much.
So he sucks some of their life force. That was where have we seen that? Because you remember when she healed the snake?
Yep. Yep.
Ray,
so we get
to
see that early on, that she can heal people with the Force.
Right. Who else could do that?
We haven't seen that before.
I feel like Obi-Wan did it. Did Obi-Wan do it?
I don't believe so.
In A New Hope?
I don't think so.
All right.
No, I'm pretty sure he did not.
Feel free to email me, Jackie at
Obi-Wan wasn't
JackieCation.com.
didn't last very long in New Hope. Remember?
Right, but I thought he could sort of. There was an exchange of life force. Anyway, so we learned for sure that she can heal a giant snake.
Right.
We don't know why that giant snake was there.
Right.
But
we don't care. Honestly, it's some sort of.
It was a device.
Well, and they're out in the wilderness. Mm-hmm. They've fallen into its lair.
Right, they fell through the quicksand.
They fell through the quicksand into its lair.
Have you ever seen real quicksand?
Well, I tell you, it doesn't. There's not a lair underneath it. I promise you, there's not an open air
Tunnels?
tunnels.
There's no tunnels under real quicksand
underneath the quicksand.
on this planet?
No.
Yeah, so that's where they ended up.
But somebody else mentioned that, like, today on Facebook, that people cared about, like, well, they wanted more backstory on the snake, and I'm like, who the fuck cares? Who the hell cares about the backstory of the snake?
Someone who wants that action figure is what I assume, and they want to play with the snake. What about the books? So we watched The Last Jedi, and Yoda besorts the temple of The Last Jedi.
Right.
And supposedly the books are in there.
Right.
Except for that then...
Except we find out later that they are not. They are
Right.
already on the Millennium Falcon.
And they're in a drawer next to, I don't know, a laundry
Bras.
bag or somebody.
Bras and underwear.
Somebody needs something, and I think it was Finn.
Mm-hmm.
Finn's wandering around. He's like, "Oh, I need this," and it's right. You can see all the Jedi texts are just sitting there.
And nobody mentions that at all. But Rey uses them.
Right, she's the one who looks at them and reads them. And I like that Yoda made fun in The Last Jedi of Luke for not reading them.
Yeah, but Luke would have. That's goofy though, because there's only like 6 of them, and Luke has been on this island with nothing to do
For 30 years.
He would have read those books.
Well, it's true. If you've got nothing else to read, can you imagine those people who memorized the Bible in the pioneer days?
Right.
They had one book.
They had one book.
They read it.
They
Cover to cover on that thing.
Absolutely.
And then they wrote things like Pilgrim's Progress. But
he totally would have read those books.
right, and he made some notes that
Yeah.
Ray rereferences in this book.
Right.
In this movie about that he but I did like the little dig about it. I didn't mind that dig. It made me laugh. Because it was like because remember in The Last Jedi Luke standing in front of
Right. Yoda says, "Read them, have you?" And I expected Luke to say, "Yes." Yes, I read them.
But the thing is, it felt like an old joke between them. For me, it really did. It felt like a bit of an old dig. Because in the last Jedi, Yoda's like always living in the future, never living in the now, and that's Luke's whole thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, whiny to the end.
Oh sure. Yeah.
And-
I think Luke was Luke absolutely perfectly throughout the whole thing.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And finally grew up when he was dead.
Right.
A classic Luke Skywalker move.
Right.
And what I do like is that Mark Hamill in other productions is clearly not Luke Skywalker. Mm-hmm. That's what I like that he's acting. Mm-hmm. It's and that because people made fun of how whiny he was in that first movie. He's like, how does that character mature?
Right.
And that actor, Mark Hamill, in these last 3 movies, matured in the way that Luke Skywalker totally would have matured, which was a little whiny, very self-absorbed, and a little disappointed in himself as per usual. And because if you think about it, without Obi-Wan Kenobi, Luke Skywalker never would have left that dirt ball.
It's true.
He would have remained to be a moisture farmer.
That's right.
With Uncle Owen.
He wanted to leave.
Oh, he did. And his friends left, and they joined the rebellion, and he never did it. There were a lot of great resistance quotes, a lot of really good rebellion kind of,
Yep.
one of my favorite was what the guy said, where did they get these ships? They don't have a navy. And he goes, I don't think that's a navy.
That's just people.
That's just people. Such a great line.
It's really good.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's a really great little moment.
Yeah. There's several sort of like hopeless moments that are turned into, well, what's hopelessness doing for us? Mm-hmm. Nothing. Mm-hmm. So why don't you put it aside?
I feel like they named this movie The Rise of Skywalker because the title A New Hope had already been used. Because honestly, this movie
is
should be titled A New Hope.
Oh, what if they would have called it A New Hope?
A New Hope.
I wish with all of my power, I wish they called it A New Hope. It's what other What other animals did we get to see? Because there's always some, like in Jedi, we got to see those tall horse animals.
Right.
That
right,
Rose and
the fathiers.
Right. Who was that guy? We should find out. It's the same guy who played the Collector. And,
I just can't think of his name.
I can't think of his name either. But he played the code breaker who sells them out.
Right.
And that was a really powerful scene in the last movie, The Last Jedi, where he checks out the yacht that they've taken over, and he's like, "Oh, he's an arms salesman. He sells to the bad guys." Oh, wait a minute.
It's sort of an interesting scene, but that's one of the scenes that I would have cut out of that movie.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Because
you don't need any of that.
Because of the nature of Star Wars?
Yes, and also because it's kind of irrelevant.
Right, but the thing is,
Who cares?
with these, because that's a lesson too.
Yeah, but it's a lesson about it's a moot,
It's a cynical.
it's a moot lesson. It doesn't actually mean anything. It's like, is Finn going to stop being part of the rebellion?
Because he learns that
Because they learn that they buy their ships from the same people that
the bad guys.
the bad guys buy their ships from.
Well,
No,
but
it's not going to change anything. It doesn't.
No, but it's a moment. I think it's a moment of awakening. It's when you learn in real life that good guys can also be bad guys. That there's nuance.
Yeah.
That is. It's a moment of maturity that I think that I don't necessarily want in every movie, but a nod to it I don't mind, and that's all it was. I mean,
I guess
it wasn't
I'm
anything.
I don't virulently hate that portion of the movie. I just don't think it was necessary.
Oh, I thought because the movies themselves are very much space opera. Good and evil is good and evil, right? But they're the best space operas. I like, and I think all of the Rangers in the whole wide world know that I love those Vorkoskin books. And in those books, errors are made because of pride.
Right.
Because of just decisions are made because you want something more than you should.
Right.
So you make bad decisions or you make bad compromises.
Right.
And someone dies or someone is hurt because of it.
Right.
And those lessons, I think, are just as real as don't lose hope.
Sure.
Or what is hopelessness going to do for you?
Sure. But in terms of like Finn's character arc, like learning that the people on this, we'd already had Rose talk to him about these people are all arms dealers.
Right.
That's the only reason they have all this money to come here.
Right.
So we already knew that.
We knew that they were dirtbags.
Right. We knew that these people were dirtbags.
But we didn't know that they also provided to the rebellion, which they do for money, but they also could get in a lot of trouble for, right?
Well, ostensibly.
Right. I mean, if when gun runners sell guns,
Yeah. But I just don't think it doesn't add anything. We already know that about most of this universe.
right?
Right? We know that there's the good guys and the bad guys, and then there's a pile of people in the middle.
Right. The smugglers
The
and
smugglers and the this and the that and the
Right.
and the other. And it's like it doesn't. It's like finding out about this one ship.
right. Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem to add anything to me.
I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
That's fair.
Yeah. What else you got?
So that's Last Jedi. In this movie, I was trying to think of, are there any scenes that we don't really need in this movie?
There was a lot of fighting that were kind of long. Mm-hmm. There were long battle scenes. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying it was the camping in the 7th book of Harry Potter.
Right.
But I am saying, and it was cool to go to the moon of Endor and find out where the Death Star crashed.
Yeah, that's really cool.
It was beautifully rendered.
Right.
Well done, FX team.
And what a cool idea to go, like, oh, we need another Death Star in this movie. How about one of the old ones?
Even though each one of those dreadnoughts had the power of a Death Star.
Right.
Because they had miniaturized it.
Yes.
And, but the crazy, but it was so beautiful. And her just surfing with one of those shitty land speeders or skid speeders or whatever they were called.
Yeah.
Skimmers, I think it was called.
Yeah, skimmer.
And then the fact is, so she's got the Force, and then Finn must have some of the Force, right? Mm-hmm. He has some sense of the.
He's sort of in the game you would have called him Force sensitive.
Okay, yeah.
And in the same way that Leia is.
Okay. Well,
although we find out that Leia went through the full Jedi training.
Full Jedi training and had a lightsaber.
And had a lightsaber.
Man,
awesome.
How great was it when Ben Solo threw his lightsaber into the water? Mm-hmm. It was great.
It's really great.
It was, yeah.
It's a great moment for him.
And they didn't feel it necessary to tell us how he got back to Exeter or whatever, Elixir, whatever the name of the Sith planet was. It was a beautiful drink called Elixir.
Right.
And
Icicle.
Icicle. It had that giant cube, like a Borg cube, and that they had to run underneath and then find.
Yeah, it was super. It's super really interesting. It's a really cool.
Yeah, and then just weird like Sith soldiers showing up here and there, and the Knights of Ren, and
I wish the Knights of Ren had been given like the Knights of Ren was such a cool idea. I think it's the other Jedi's students that he took with him when he left.
Right. When he took that handful of students with him.
Yeah.
He killed the ones and then brought the others with him.
And took the others with him, and they became the Knights of Ren.
Oh, wow.
I think that's the lore on that one.
Huh.
But we barely get to see anything about them.
It's true.
Or any sort of individualism about them at all.
Let's talk briefly about the Hot Wheels that you got for Christmas.
Okay.
You got some
yes. The character cars.
Character cars for the Rise of Skywalker.
That's right.
Explain the character.
Okay, so if the Batmobile is the car that Batman drives, a character car is the vehicle that Batman would be if Batman was a vehicle. And so Hot Wheels has been making character cars for DC Comics, Marvel Comics, and for Star Wars. And
right.
The first ones were for Star Wars, and the first one that we ever saw was Darth Vader.
Oh, okay.
Which was super awesome and cool.
Because and wasn't the cockpit or his helmet or something?
The whole car is sort of looks like his helmet plus his chest plate, and then it's got lightsabers on the side. It's just awesome. It's just super cool.
You do an entire episode of a show called Obsessed, Joseph Scrimshaw's podcast, which is a lot like the Dork Forest, where you talk for a full hour about character cars.
Not only talk, we actually play with some of them. We set up track, and we race some of them.
Okay, go find Obsessed, Andy Ashcraft, Joseph Scrimshaw. Now. For Christmas.
For Christmas. Santa.
Yes, weirdly.
Got me the new Rey car. So this will be the third version of Rey. There's been 3 different cars made for Rey.
Which is kind of cool.
Films. Yeah, I like that. I think it's great. A Poe Dameron, which I'd been waiting. It only had come out in a 2-pack prior to this.
Okay. So was this for Rise of Skywalker?
Rise of Skywalker is the first time that he's been sold as a single car.
Okay, but it's the same design.
But it's the same car, yeah.
Okay.
And then
there's a Finn car.
There's a Finn car, which I already have. But but for the ones you got me for Christmas.
Oh right.
Dio. The tiny little robot.
The nose cone robot.
The nose cone robot is with one big wheel in the back.
Right.
And then 2 new Stormtrooper cars. The red armored Sith troopers that we saw just barely in the final battle.
Right.
And the jetpack ones that we saw on the desert planet when they're.
Oh, that they could fly.
Yeah.
They can fly now?
Yeah, they can fly now. Yeah, the stormtroopers that have jetpacks.
Right.
So, jetpacks.
Yeah.
Let's talk about jetpacks.
Okay.
We saw jetpacks first. Boba Fett.
Boba Fett had a jetpack.
Boba Fett had a jetpack in movie number 6, in Return of the Jedi.
Really?
Yeah. because he loses control of it when they're fighting over the Jabba's skiff, and falls into the Sarlacc pit.
Oh, right. That's right.
But
he's in a jetpack.
But he's got a jetpack.
Okay.
And then we've seen jetpacks on the Mandalorian now.
Right.
And we saw in the Last Jedi when we're talking to Maz over the little video phone business.
Oh, right.
She uses a jetpack to jet off and end the call.
Right, because she's having union difficulties.
So she jets away on a jetpack.
Right.
And then now we've seen stormtroopers in jetpacks.
Right. What?
Where are the rest of the jetpacks?
Where are the rest of the jetpacks?
Why hasn't everybody got a jetpack?
Why doesn't everybody have a jetpack? Why doesn't everyone have Phasma's armor?
Right, the laser reflecting armor of Captain Phasma.
Yeah, Captain Phasma had laser reflecting armor.
Why is there only one person in that entire organization with shiny chrome armor?
Right, and that Captain medallion, which got them onto the dreadnought,
right,
but then didn't do anything for them except for get them into trouble, and
right.
I thought at one point, did you think that they were going to end up in a trash compactor? There was part of me that thought that they were going to end up, but they hadn't brought BB-8 with them. And BB-8, holy crap.
Oh, yeah.
BB-8 was quite lethal.
Very similar to R2-D2 in the first three movies.
He was, R2-D2 was constantly stunning people.
Constantly fixing things, constantly just being in the right place at the right time.
Yep.
There was a lot of talk that R2-D2 was actually the Jedi Master of the whole thing.
Wait, what is that thing you've been reading for a decade?
Darths and Droids. I can't wait for them to
get to this?
To start, because they haven't started the new trilogy yet.
Oh, they have not?
They have not.
Darths and Droids is a comic strip?
It's a webcomic.
It's a webcomic.
It's a webcomic where they used still frames from the movies to tell a story about some role players who are playing in a science fiction game.
Right.
And it starts the comic starts with episode 1 and
the prequels.
And immediately the game master loses control of the game and the game goes off the rails.
Yes. Darths and Droids, what you have read to me over the last years.
Good. It's so good. And the current storyline in Darths and Droids, because they finished
the first trilogy.
They finished the second. They finished the prequel trilogy. They finished the regular series.
The original trilogy.
Right. And I think they even did Rogue One.
Oh, okay.
And then they were like, well, we have to wait and see where these movies actually go for the new trilogy before we can even start.
Oh, okay. So they didn't want to get into it.
They want to do a parody of it. It's a parody of the... Right. So they haven't even gotten started. So what they've been doing instead...
Yeah.
...is they've been... there was a Muppet Show episode with Luke Skywalker.
Back in the 70s?
Back in the 70s.
Okay.
So early 80s.
They did a campaign based on that?
They've done it. Yeah, they're in the middle of a campaign.
Based on the Muppet
Show.
They're not doing Spaceballs, are they?
It turns out that's one of the skits on that episode, on that Muppet Show episode, was Mark Hamill showing up in Spaceballs.
Oh, okay.
Or in, not Spaceballs, but Pigs in Space. Sorry.
Pigs in Space, okay.
Pigs in Space. But in the Muppet Show, Mark Hamill shows up and Luke Skywalker shows up.
Dun, dun, dun.
And they're not the same person.
Oh, my gosh.
So the whole thing has been about, like, everybody, all these Muppets are all clones of somebody else.
Yeah. What is happening? So how are they?
So Gonzo shows up and he's in Darth Vader armor.
Okay.
And this happened in the early 80s.
This was a real thing.
This was a real thing. And so, well, clearly, he's a clone of Vader.
Right.
But they've already killed Vader.
Right.
So now they're just dealing with the
clone.
Right.
Oh my gosh. I remember when you explained Darths and Droids to me back in the beginning, and you were so excited about whoever the character, because this was a tabletop role-playing games.
That's right.
And so they were different, supposedly, characters or people playing different characters from the movie.
Right.
And whoever was playing R2-D2...
He's a power gamer to the nth degree.
And he wanted all of the powers.
So he took no arms and no legs.
Right.
As a disadvantage, so he could have more points to build.
Like skills.
Yeah.
He wanted all the skills. So he had no arms, no legs, and no language skills, right?
Right. Couldn't talk to anybody.
Right. So who was playing C-3PO?
I don't remember now.
Okay.
It
was 12 years ago, I think.
It was 12 years ago, yeah. This comic has been going on for a long while, and it's great. It's so good.
It continues to entertain.
To thrill me.
Yeah, it does thrill you. I love to hear about it. I tried to read it for a little bit, and then I had to call it.
Can we go back to talking about Hot Wheels for a minute?
Sure.
Because there are some notably missing Hot Wheels from the character in the lineup of character cars.
Oh, now we hear about it. Now we get. Let's hear it.
Yeah. First off,
and most importantly,
General Hux.
Oh, right.
There's no General Hux car.
It doesn't make any sense.
There's a Captain Phasma car.
There's a Captain, and you have it.
And I have it.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a very chromy.
Yeah, she's all silver, and it's basically, there's a whole bunch of different stormtrooper cars.
Right.
And they're all they're all sort of vaguely reminiscent of their helmets.
Right. And some of them are beat up, like blaster marks.
Yeah. You can get the ones that are sort of battle scarred, and then
But no General Hux.
But no General Hux yet.
And no Palpatine.
No, there's a Palpatine.
Is there a Palpatine from the original the 4, 5, and 6?
Oh yeah.
And
there's a Snoke.
And there's a Snoke.
Yep.
Okay, but
there's
no
Kylo
Hux.
Ren and Darth Vader and
and
all the other Darths. There's
at least 4 Han Solos.
There's 4 Han Solo cars. There's exactly 1 Princess Leia car.
Boo.
I know it. There's some important Princess Leia cars that are not presented as well. There's Slave Leia. I mean, that's a classic look for her.
Right, with the bikini.
Jabba's slave, right?
Yep.
There's also, the General Leia and Hoth gear.
Right.
When we really see her as a general for the first time.
Right. In Empire.
That's important.
Yep.
And then there's
and now there's Return to Leia.
Return Leia.
Is there an old Han Solo?
Yeah.
There's an old Han Solo. There's a Han Solo in Carbonite.
And there's an old Luke.
And I think there's a Solo from the movie Solo.
Yep. Yeah. There's four Han Solo cars, and they're all different models, but built on the same idea, which is really interesting to me.
What did you think? Just to digress a little bit away from we'll come back to the cars.
Sure.
But Finn was wearing a leather vest in this one. He had lost the Poe Dameron jacket.
Lost the jacket and was just wearing
a vest at some point.
Maybe the jacket was one of those ones with the zip-off sleeves.
I wanted him back in that jacket. He looked, and he had done his hair a little bit different. I liked his hair.
Right, his hair was a little bit longer.
I liked it. I liked his hair better in this one. Though he's always been very handsome, but I thought the jacket looked better on him than the weird vest. Well, nobody can really carry off a vest very well by itself.
I didn't notice.
Yeah,
I'm so sorry.
That's fine. But what other cars do you think?
I do think that it helps a relationship if Finn is still wearing Poe's Letterman jacket.
It does. When they were looking around for each other at the end of it, when Chewie gets a medal from from Maz, who still reminds me of Linda What's-Her-Face from A Year of Living Dangerously and Silverado.
Yep.
And NCIS LA.
Yep.
That woman's name, Linda something, I believe. Anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
No, I think you're right. I'm trying to think of it, but I think you're right.
So but she gives him a medal.
Right.
Everybody's trying to find everybody else.
Right. I didn't quite understand why she wasn't in the final battle, because she clearly kicks ass and takes names.
Right.
So why was she?
She'd be a great car
Why
too.
was she stuck on the planet watching
video?
she was watching over Leia's body.
Oh, right. Well, maybe she was sitting Shiva.
She might have been.
So everyone's looking for someone to hug.
Right.
And Hannah goes and sits by Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian.
Yep.
That was lovely.
Mm-hmm.
I liked that interaction. Mm-hmm. And then Poe and Finn find each other.
And hug it out.
And I was like, oh, maybe they're going to be a thing.
Right.
And then they find Rey, and then
Right.
the three of them hug it out.
Right.
And I was like, that actually felt like awesome closure for me.
Yeah. No, I think it was really, really good. And will also provide so much fodder for so much fanfic.
Oh, the shipping of the three of them together and the two of them together. Sure. We have the rest of our lives ahead of us to read that nonsense if we want to. And I only say nonsense because I'm not talking to a fan fiction person right now. If you would like to come on the Dork Forest and speak of your fan fiction, please do, and I will be wowed.
Right. But yes, it felt really good.
Right. For the three of them to hug finally.
Yeah.
The first person Rey finds is BB-8.
BB-8.
Here's the weird thing: the reunited C-3PO and R2-D2.
Yes.
When R2-D2 gives C-3PO back his memories.
Yes.
Where does he come in?
What do you mean?
The first thing C-3PO says, "Oh, I'm going to go on my first trip with this person."
Oh, right.
Well, who was that?
That was C-3PO. That was the last thing. That was the last moment that R2
had backed up.
So
do we know when that was?
Oh, it would have been just before they all shipped off.
To go get his mind wiped?
Yeah. But they weren't going to get his mind wiped. They were going to go and find the clue that Luke had
because the line was not, "Hey, we're going to go look for the Sith elixir
I'm
planet."
going on a mission with Rey.
Okay.
Hey, I get to go on a mission with Rey. Oh,
right.
That's
it was
already
a different line.
Okay.
It felt like a different line, but maybe I just misheard it.
Yeah, maybe.
You've seen it twice. I've only seen it once. I need to see it again.
Yeah, you'll need to see it again.
Right.
But yeah, I think my impression was it was the last time that R2-D2 had seen him.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Had basically backed him up from R2-D2's point of view. So last time that R2-D2 had seen him
was the last thing he said to him.
Right.
And it was backed up.
Right.
Let's just do some overview. We're almost at an hour.
Sure. Oh, really? Oh my gosh. All right.
I know. We've So, are there any other cars missing? It was Hugs.
Hugs.
Right.
General Hugs.
Rose. I'd like to see a Rose.
There's a Rose.
Oh, there's a Rose?
Yeah, there's a Rose. It's great. And she's a little like jeepy dune buggy thing.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
All right. Finn, Poe.
Yeah, I think the main ones are General Hugs. I think it would be fun to see BB-8 as a trash can. As one of those black trash cans when he's in disguise.
Was in disguise as they went around the...
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Oh, and I think I would like to see Finn as FN 2187 in the stormtrooper armor with the blood smears on the helmet.
Right, with the handprint of blood on his helmet.
Yeah.
Yikes. Sure. Anything? What do you think about the next movie? What are they going to do?
Oh, I have no idea.
Because the universe is open. So they could just do more, like, because Rogue One was clearly a prequel to a prequel.
Right.
And just an interstitially kind of thing.
Daisy Ridley, who's played Rey, has said that she doesn't want to do it anymore.
Oh, is she?
Yeah, she's done.
Being Rey for now.
Being Rey.
Right.
Now, they might wave a wad of cash at her and she might change her mind, but...
Is there a Queen Amidala car?
Oh, you know what? There is not.
Interesting.
That would be one, too, to add.
Yeah.
I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to. I don't have very many of the cars from the prequels.
Sure. That'll happen.
And so I haven't paid that close attention to what's there and what's not. There's not many cars from the prequels, and I don't have very many of the ones that are there.
Okay. Yeah.
So
interesting. Yeah. But I liked
Holdo. Need a Holdo.
Oh yeah. Who was Holdo again?
Holdo was the purple-haired lady who Who?
Laura Dern?
Laura Dern.
Laura Dern.
Yeah.
Yeah, in The Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. She was great.
Yep.
She has a very long neck.
She's very willowy. She's one of the willowiest of our actresses.
And they really played up the neck, too, with a lot of scarf. There was a scarf that went on for miles.
That would be what the car's about, just one long scarf.
But she was great in that. In that, I remember really liking her character the first time I saw the movie, and seeing it again this time, I was like, oh, I remember how cool she was.
Yeah, she's super cool.
Yeah. Anyway, on the whole, I really liked it.
Yes, I think it's great. I think it does a very, very nice job of wrapping everything up in a tidy little bow and giving us a few more surprises along the way.
Yeah.
And giving us all the things that make Star Wars Star Wars.
It was very Star Wars.
We get lots of lightsaber fights, which is great. We get lots of ship fights. We get a
lot of improbable landings. You gotta love where things blow up and people walk out of them.
Right.
And then Chewie we saw him get on that transporter.
That's right. Well, but that was something in the first viewing. I'm like, oh, there must have been a second transporter. They have the line. I'm like, I don't remember a second transporter. There was a second transporter.
Oh, was there?
Yeah, there was.
Okay.
I promise.
Oh, good.
I looked for it this time, and it's like, oh, yeah, there's two transporters sitting there.
There we go. All right. Good. Because I remember going, there was no second transporter. And so you saw it. Mm-hmm. I'm sure that there were things that were not, that people noticed that we didn't notice, that they would have liked done a little bit better. Yeah.
There's a few improbable plot things that happen.
But that just adds to the Star Wars canon.
Absolutely. Somebody decided to make a dagger in the shape of a wreck.
Right. And
for the sole purpose of why would somebody make this?
And it feels like the wreck, they made the dagger after the wreck?
Yeah, they would have had to have.
Right, because of the thing that came out of the handle?
Yeah.
To make you see?
Yeah,
heaven forfend that thing sink.
They had to be standing exactly where Rey was standing while they forged this dagger.
Right.
To make this thing point to the thing that they needed to find.
Right. It's going to be in the Death Star ruin right here, which is in an ocean and hasn't moved one iota in the last 20 years.
Right.
Or 6 years or however long it's been.
Right.
The whole thing is so, yes. So that's the
super dubious.
Right. The improbability drive continues to rile and roll.
Right. But you know what? I don't care about any of that stuff. That stuff's just fine. It's just all part of the joy of Star Wars, honestly.
Right, because
I did get a lot of joy, like when Lando shows up. It's like, yay, it's Lando. When Luke Skywalker shows up as a Force ghost, you're like, yay, it's Luke Skywalker.
When Han Solo showed up as a Force ghost,
he's not a Force ghost.
But he's not a Force ghost. He was just a ghost.
Just a memory.
Was a memory. But then he does the line.
Yeah.
He's like, when Ben wants to tell him he loves him, he kind of smiles and go, I know.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to say it. It's pretty great.
It's great. It's really great. And I believe him to be completely CGI'd in there. I think that was not I don't think that because he wasn't in the credits.
Oh, really?
Right. I know a lot of because Carrie Fisher passed away before they finished shooting. And maybe even before they started shooting. Mm-hmm. And they had been public about, like, well, this is going to be the Carrie Fisher movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I remember them saying that. They
basically went back to all of their old footage, or the extra footage of her that they had shot.
Yeah.
In Last Jedi.
Yeah.
And
just had to.
And then
reinserted
it, and I found on the second viewing I saw a couple places where I'm like, oh, that's actually from the same shot as this other thing from this Last Jedi.
Oh wow, that's why you stayed till the end credits to see if there was any sort of a tribute. To her. So Harrison Ford is not in the credits?
I didn't see him.
Okay, he had to be.
But he had to have been there.
Right. Okay. because that scene was beautiful.
Yeah, it was
a
really
really
lovely.
really great scene, and I'm glad that Ben Solo lived long enough to bring Rey Skywalker back to life, or Rey Palpatine Skywalker, and
RPS.
All right, I'm going to go to sleep now.
All right. This was fun.
This was super fun. I'm so glad you were willing to do it right after we saw the movie.
Sure. Well, I wanted to talk to you right after, and you wouldn't let me.
I said we were going to do a spoiler episode.
Right.
And we've done it. Rangers,
done it.
You've listened to it. You know the rules out there. Take care of each other.
My hat, my hat, my hat. They're dancing around my hat. My hat, my hat, my hat. Well, what do you think of that? If it looks like a Mexican hat dance and it sounds like a Mexican hat dance, it's most likely a Mexican hat dance. So take off your hat and let's dance.
Yay! Oh my God. Why don't we just call that as the end of the show?